from Bucks County, Lara Trump.
Donald Trump. Love it. What did you guys think of the convention?
Terrific.
And let's talk just for a moment about the difference between the two conventions, right?
Yeah.
Was everybody like absolutely falling asleep for the Democrats convention?
Oh, I didn't see it.
I had to watch, right? Because we had our own convention. We wanted to leave people with a very hopeful, optimistic view of America. I hope everyone took that, and then the president wrapping it up with his incredible speech on Thursday night. It couldn't have been better. So we were very proud, and I'll remind everyone, in case you didn't know, the Democrats had 4 months to plan theirs. We planned ours in 3 weeks. So it looks like if you want something done right, I guess you give it to them. Right? This is so important, and the reason that I'm here, the reason all of you guys are here is because we all know this is the most consequential election in the history of our modern country. I mean, truly, what we can see happen on November 3rd, if it, God forbid, went the wrong way. Joe Biden himself has said he wants to fundamentally transform America. So what we know is this isn't just about Republican versus Democrat or left versus right. We are fighting to keep America, America, right? That's what this is all about. This businessman, the guy that we all saw on television, a reality star in his own right, how would he do as president? What do you guys think? How did he do as president?
Yeah.
It's really amazing to see because in 3.5 years in office, this man has accomplished more than the past 3 presidents' entire terms in office put together. Because he didn't need this job. He's not doing this job so that he can write a book at the end of this. He'll probably be the first president to leave office poorer than when he went in office, which we know never happens, right? He's doing this job, and he took this job because he loves this country. And I think he knew, like so many of us, things were heading in a frightening direction. And it felt like our country wasn't the same country that we had always known and loved. And, some people criticize my father-in-law for his tweets or for the way he delivers a message. But I think sometimes you need a little tough love, right? You need to hear the things that sometimes you don't want to hear. He is putting it out there. I mean, if there's nothing else we could say, he's probably the most transparent president of all time, right? You never have to wonder what this man is thinking. But you see the job that he did since he's been in office. Finally, we see that it's not just a campaign slogan, promises made, promises kept. It's what this man does and how he delivers for America. Whether we're talking about prior to the artificial interruption of the coronavirus pandemic to our economy, we had in January 1 million more jobs than we even had people to fill them. We saw the lowest unemployment in many respects in the history of our country leading into this. We saw stock markets hitting record highs, and I'll remind everybody that the Dow and the NASDAQ are back at record high numbers, right? Yeah. So we are getting there. What does that say? That is a reflection of the confidence people have in their leaders. That is exactly what the stock market is. So I think people can say, whether they voted for Donald Trump or not, whether they talk about voting for Donald Trump or not, they know that Donald Trump is good for America. And at the end of the day, that's what it all is about. There is another man running in this campaign. I don't know if anyone noticed because he's been in his basement for, I don't even know, hundreds of days on end now. Joe Biden, who claims Pennsylvania as his home state. Now, what's sad about that is think about how detrimental Joe Biden would be specifically for the state of Pennsylvania. This is a man that wants to implement the Green New Deal. What would that do to this state specifically? We're talking about ending fracking and energy jobs overnight. Obviously, we know the cows are done, so forget about it. With that whole thing, nobody's flying on airlines, but truly, it's frightening to see how an individual can be pushed so far left, because if we're being honest, I don't even know if Joe Biden would have told you what his platform is. We certainly didn't hear it in the 4 days of the Democrats' convention, right? We heard nothing except how bad Donald Trump is and why we should all be ashamed to be Americans. That was generally the message delivered. So Joe Biden is now the true Trojan horse for the far-left, radical, socialist, Marxist wing of the Democrat Party. And the way he wants to transform this country would be an unrecognizable America. You know, I've always felt so lucky to be an American. I remember growing up and standing with my hand over my heart when I said the Pledge of Allegiance and sang our national anthem. And I would stand a little taller because I knew how lucky I was way back then to be an American. And I want my kids to grow up in that same country. We are the most exceptional nation in the history of the world, and we can never forget that. We shouldn't be ashamed to be Americans. We should be celebrating America and the opportunities that we are afforded here every day, the freedom that you can find in no other country on the face of the planet. We have them right here at home, and we have to fight for them. You know, freedom isn't free. Do we have any veterans in our audience?
Yes, we do.
Oh, amazing. Let's give these folks military, without the men and women that put themselves out there every single day, we wouldn't have this incredible country. We should be thanking them. And under President Donald Trump, we know that our military hasn't been this strong in decades. Donald Trump rebuilt our military. When he came into office, I remember hearing directly from my father-in-law about how astonished he was to see how depleted our military was, how we were taking spare parts off of old dead planes that nobody was using because we weren't properly funding our military. If you're not funding that, I mean, what are we doing, right? We want a military so strong that nobody even wants to mess with us, and we don't have to use it, right? Because we know this is a president that instead of getting into wars like other presidents have done, he's pulling us out of those endless wars. He wants to bring us together. Speaking of people we should thank for our country, our law enforcement officers. Defund the police. We will defend the police in this country because, let's face it, these people go out every single day. They don't know whether or not they're coming home at the end of the day to their families. They do it because they love this country. They want to protect the freedoms we have. They give us our opportunity to have all of our rights. They make sure that our First Amendment rights are fully intact and that we are able to have peaceful protests. That is key. Because what you've seen happen in all these Democrat-run cities around the country is not a peaceful protest. Okay, that is an anarchist, violent mob. The mayors have let down the citizens of their cities. They have not protected the citizens. They have not protected small businesses. But guess who is? Donald Trump from day one said, I want to send in federal troops to help you quell the violence because I want every American to feel safe. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have safety, what do you have? What else really matters ultimately if you don't know that you're safe, if you don't know that your family is safe? Sadly, they would rather play politics than to see Donald Trump help out their city. So that is exactly what you see happening. For some reason, they thought it was a good idea, so it took Joe Biden 3 months to come out and actually condemn this violence. We finally saw him say something about it. Maybe it's because his poll numbers started plummeting very, very quickly. How politically advantageous something is, I will do it because it is right for this country. And you've seen that time and time again from this president. I'll just go back to the conventions for a moment. Everybody probably knows here that historically what happens after you have a convention is that the person whose party is hosting the convention gets a little bump after the convention. Let me let you in on a secret, folks. During the Democrats' convention, Donald Trump went up in the polls. Okay? Infomercial that the Democrats were running for like a product that you never wanted to buy, you didn't want, you didn't need, but they continue night after night to kind of peddle it out there like, don't you want this? Americans don't want it. We are resigned. We don't want it. We don't want what they're selling. We don't want Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because now with Kamala Harris as the running mate of Joe Biden, it is solidified. This is the most far-left radical socialist ticket in the history of American politics. It is official right now. And ladies, let me talk to all the ladies in the audience right now. How ridiculous is it for somebody to qualify that they are going to choose someone based solely on gender to be their running mate? What are we, stupid? Do they not think that we want the best person for the job? Guess what? I want the best person for the job, and Joe Biden would have done himself so much better had he said, I will pick the best person for the job, and if it happened to be a woman, then so be it. But wow, what a pandering move. 2 months ago, say, I will pick a woman to be my running mate. I mean, guess what? They tried it in 2016, guys. Remember that? We were all supposed to vote for Hillary Clinton, right? Because she was supposed to be the first woman president of the United States. Well, anybody here have something to say about that? Yeah. Guess what? Women in this country are smart, and we want the best person for the job. But now we've got Joe and Kamala running all around trying to talk to people and tell them that they're going to keep this country safe, that they're going to bring back the American dream. I don't think so, folks. There is one person who actually brought the American dream back to this country, and his name is Donald J. Trump. Right? Flush old Joe out of the basement, though, because he's coming to Pennsylvania today, right? He's scared now. It's like the poll numbers are bad. I better get out of the basement, even though I feel like it was like 5 days ago when he said, I'm going to do this whole thing from my basement. It doesn't seem like it's really working out. Look, truly this election is so important. And whenever you're talking about the way people have been frightened over the past 5 months because of COVID, that don't kid yourself, that is a strategy for the Democrats, okay? They are trying to tell you that although it is safe to fly on airplanes and sit close together, although it is safe to stand in line to go to the grocery store, for some reason, it is not going to be safe for us to go to the voting booth. I don't know about you guys, I am going and I'm standing in line and I'm voting in person. Universal mail-in number that they're trying to pull on the country 90 days before an election, really? You know that they literally are sending out these mail-in ballots to cats that have been dead for 12 years. There was a cat in North Carolina named Cody Timms. This is one of my favorite stories. Received a mail-in ballot. There are people who have had their name changed. They'll receive multiple ballots. How many times have you moved? I know apartments that I've had, I get mail from the previous 2 tenants. Who is to say that these people aren't filling out those ballots and sending them in absentee? Very safe. Because guess what? You have checks to see who actually sent an absentee ballot in. The full universal mail-in number, not the way to go, but that is another strategy the Democrats have because they know that nobody is excited about Joe Biden. It's really, at this point, kind of like a weekend at Bernie's sketch. I mean, the Democrat Party, let's be honest, right? 2016, they stole the election from Bernie Sanders and gave it to Hillary Clinton, right? Yep. I mean, the enthusiasm in that party has always been behind Bernie Sanders. They basically did the same thing this time. Remember, Joe Biden was coming in like 4th place in some of these primaries, and all of a sudden, it's interesting how they all rallied around him. Joe Biden is our God. Maybe it's because they needed somebody that they could control. Maybe it's because Donald Trump is actually draining the swamp and exposing these people in Washington for all the nonsense they've been pulling on the American people for years. How about that? I will tell you, my father-in-law did not need this job. He really didn't. I mean, think about Donald Trump before he came down the golden escalator and announced on June 15, 2015 that he was running for president of the United States. Everybody liked Donald Trump, right? Hollywood loved him. I remember I used to work for a television show. We would come over to Trump Tower all the time because everybody wanted to hear, what does Donald Trump have to say about this? All of a sudden, overnight, he is the enemy of Hollywood. He is the enemy of the mainstream media, yet he continues to expose them every single day. And that's probably one of the reasons they dislike him so much. He had a great life before he got into politics. But you guys probably remember, you've probably seen the clips of Donald Trump from the 90s, from even the 80s, saying, I don't know that I would run for president, but if things got so bad that I felt like I had no other choice, I would do it. Well, that was us in 2016. And we finally have started to get our country back under this president. We cannot, under any circumstances, cede it back to the very people who destroyed it from the beginning, right? That is not an option. That's why you day. Usually I have a bright pink bus that I travel around with a group full of women, and we call it Women for Trump. I mean, this is a coalition. We are about 250,000 women in this country have signed up to be part of this coalition that we have. We're traveling the country, we're talking to people, because interestingly in 2016 they kept saying women won't vote for Donald Trump, and I said, that's weird, because everywhere I go I have women specifically come up to me and say, we can't wait to vote for Donald Trump, we think he'll be great for America. And I'll tell you guys something else. You hear that all the polling nonsense, let's not forget, the day before the election in 2016, they said there was no path to victory for Donald Trump, that Hillary Clinton would certainly be our 45th president of the United States. They have always gotten it wrong with polling when it comes to Donald Trump. It has never accurately reflected the sentiments of the American people. I will tell you something, I don't even call it the silent majority anymore. We are called the silenced majority, because that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to silence all of us out there. They're trying to scare people away from the polling location. They're trying to put this narrative out there that all hope is gone for Donald Trump. Don't even bother going out to vote for him. Well, I got something to say about that, and I think you guys have something to say about that. That's right. We are a big silent majority, and we're going to come out on November. Is that you can see somebody talking on television as much as you want, but when it comes to people you know, people you see in your neighborhood, people you see at the grocery store, at your children's school, and we got to get kids back in school, right? Yeah. I just found out my son is going back to school, so that's great news for me. I'm very excited. But it truly makes a difference. You connect with people, they trust you, you can talk to them. So I want to tell you, don't be afraid. Post on your Facebook, post on social media, put a bumper sticker on your car, because you'd be shocked to know how many of us there truly are out there that are scared to say it. But it's a very funny thing. People tell me this all the time. They're like, we had dinner with some neighbors of ours, and nobody knew where anyone stood. The second one person is like, we like what the president did about this. Then everybody's like, oh my God, you're a Trump, right? You guys know. Then everybody's in the mix, and you're talking about it, you're spreading the word. We have to do it, because what we're up against truly is terrifying. What could happen to this country? Socialism, just period. Socialism is what they want to have happen in this country. Donald Trump is all about the people being in charge of our country, not the government. And that is not what the Democrats want. They want full government control of every aspect of your life. And that is not what this country is about. That's not what we're founded on. And that is not what is going to happen. So on November 3rd, we need to win by such a large margin of victory that the Democrats can't say, well, maybe there's a problem with the election. We can leave no stone unturned. We can leave no questions for these people, because we know they're going to try it. Isn't it funny? Just leave you with a couple final thoughts. Don't you remember in 2016, Hillary Clinton saying, Donald Trump will never say that I won whenever I won. He will never actually talk about who really won the election. Did anybody want to remind Hillary she did not win the election? Because I still don't think she knows. I really don't think she knows still, but that's all right. We're going to win it again on November 3rd, right? Yeah. Keep you motivated as we head towards Election Day. Does anyone remember the incredible feeling in the wee hours of November 9th, 2016?
Yeah.
Donald Trump won another state. Donald Trump won North Carolina. Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania. Yeah! For Pennsylvania. Think about how great that felt, but think about a second time around having to watch them full meltdown. We won again, and we're going. Was part of it all week last week, and I'm here on Monday in Pennsylvania with you guys because I love this country. I want this country to work for my children, for my grandchildren, for generations beyond, and we will make the difference. This is the history of this country that we are writing every single day. And I'm so honored to be a part of it. I hope you guys are honored to be a part of it. It takes all of us to do this. So we're leaving no stone unturned. We're fighting every single day, 64 days to victory from right now. Thank you for believing in my father-in-law. Thank you for loving this country and for being willing to fight for it, because that is exactly what we're going to have to do every step of the way. And thank you for being unafraid to be Trump supporters. They try and silence us, they try and scare us. I can't get away from it because it's my last name, so I own it all day long, every day. But it's truly amazing what has happened in the past 3.5 years in this country, and what we're going to do with another 4 years of Donald Trump is going to be absolutely amazing. And we are so proud to be Americans. We should always wear that on our sleeve and expose that every single day, because we live in the greatest country in the history of the world, and we're going to keep it that way.
That's right. We have some few questions. Here's the first one. As a Republican woman, what are some talking points that you think will resonate with suburban women?
Well, I'll tell you, as a mom, I first and foremost, I just talked about this, want safety and security for my family, right? I mean, all of us have seen the horrifying situation in some of our great American cities, and the idea that that could come to my home. I live usually in New York City. I haven't been in New York City in months, and thank God, because I have 2 young children, and what I see happening there is terrifying. Donald Trump is the law and order president. This is a man that will always stand up for our law enforcement officers, right? That's right. But you also can't let the mob run wild. That is exactly what you see happening in so many of these Democrat cities. The mayors are afraid to step in and say, you're breaking the law and what you're doing is illegal and you have to stop. So first and foremost, I would say that. I'll also point out that women under this president have been incredibly successful. 65-year low in women's unemployment. In 2019 alone, 70% of the new jobs created went to women, which is amazing. We see every single day that a rising tide lifts all ships, and that's what this president is always about. So I always say, look, women's issues are American issues. We want the same things. We want opportunities. We want jobs, we want a safe community, we want good schools. This is a president that is such a huge advocate for school choice, because he knows that your zip code should not determine your child's education. We all want the best for our kids, right? Yeah. It's about having a great country. It's about having opportunities and leaving a great country for our children. So to me, I mean, I always say American issues are women's issues too. So all of you.
Oh, we got another one. These were submitted. The people of Pennsylvania want to reopen their businesses and go back to school. What can we expect from the White House to help us with this?
Well, I'll tell you what you've already seen is not only, and let's talk for just a quick moment about the coronavirus and the way that the Democrats are trying to politicize such an absolutely devastating thing. I mean, it's a worldwide pandemic, right? No one has seen something like this in modern history. And what did we see happen from the very onset of this in January? Same day, by the way, Nancy Pelosi was playing politics and passing out her impeachment pens to all of her Democrat colleagues after they tried to impeach this president. Donald Trump stopped travel coming from China to the United States of America in an effort to get a handle on things and save American lives. Of course, what did we see happen? Nancy said, come on down to Chinatown. They just do the opposite of whatever this president runs. Right, Joe Biden said it was xenophobic and fear-mongering. Every step of the way, this president, despite what you'll hear from Joe and Kamala, has listened to the medical professionals. He has listened to science. That is why you think a president who has had the best economy in the history of our country wanted to shut it down. At any point, the answer is absolutely not. But he did what needed to be done in order to save lives. And now, what do we see? We have fast-tracked a coronavirus vaccine. We will have it by the end of the year. I mean, this is light years ahead. Right? Normally, these things take years. He partnered the government with the private sector in order to create ventilators so that not a single American citizen who needed a ventilator went without one, right? He replenished our stockpile that was left depleted by the previous administration. Not only was he looking out for the physical health of the American people, he was looking out for our pockets. He was looking out for our small businesses with the Paycheck Protection Program.
Yep.
That literally kept people afloat, kept businesses afloat during a really, really tough time in our country. And thank God we had the little padding that we had at the beginning of this because of our great economy, so that we could weather a storm like this. But let's be clear, with Donald Trump, we know what he's capable of doing. So what I would say to all business owners is, first and foremost, this president says it's time to open up the country, right? You gotta open back up. Joe Biden will help you down again, because clearly he doesn't understand how businesses work, and you need to actually be functioning in order to make money and pay for your rent, etc. But I digress. This is a president that has done it once and will do it again. He understands. He wants to see 1 million small businesses open within the first year of his presidency, his second term in office. He wants in 10 months to have 10 million new jobs created. That is what he said he wants to see happen for his second term. So he has a plan, and he's ready to put it in place. We will get through coronavirus. Look, we're America. We get through everything you put in front of us. We are coming out on the other end. It's time to reopen our businesses. It's time to get kids back in school. It's time to get back to normal life. And it's time to give Donald Trump 4 more years, because we know he will cut through the red tape, will roll back the regulations, and he will make sure our businesses flourish and prosper like they were doing a couple of short months ago, right?
And the last one we have is, what was it like during the convention? What were your thoughts on Thursday night? It was such an exciting night for Americans. What was your thoughts as you were there?
Oh my gosh. I told my husband this when we left. There was a moment where I was sitting there and I had like a profile view of my father-in-law. And I said to him when we left, I know that I'll remember this moment for the rest of my life. I know that I'm looking at a man who truly will go down in history, despite all the nonsense you hear out there, despite the negative, 92% negative media coverage. This man will go down in history as one of the greatest American presidents, right?
Yeah,
The day that we started the convention on Monday, we decided basically to make it a more virtual convention. I was just proud that it was a convention that was about and of the people, right? So it wasn't about having the Hollywood celebrities, which, oh my gosh, shocker, the Democrats did that. That's the only trick they have, and nobody cares, by the way. It wasn't about the Hollywood celebrities. It wasn't about the political elites. It was about the American people. You heard every single night of our convention stories of real people in this country and how their lives have been impacted in a positive way by President Donald Trump, right? Some of these people didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016. They're some of the ones that were devastated on November 9th when they had to wake up and realize Donald Trump was the president-elect of the United States. But they very quickly said, wait a minute, this guy is actually getting things done. He's actually changing this country, and it's working for me, and it's working for so many I know. So they're some of his biggest advocates. They're some of his biggest fans, and they know what this president can do, and that's why they know we have to have him for 4 more years. I just thought overall the convention was so different than the very bleak, dark, and depressing vision of America that we saw from the Democrats. I mean, they generally made you feel ashamed to be American. In our convention, we wanted people to leave feeling hopeful, feeling inspired, remembering that the American dream is still the greatest thing in the entire world, and there are people who risk their lives every single day to come to this country, and it's for a reason. It's because no other country affords you the opportunity and the freedoms like the United States of America. We can never forget that across the world there's one flag that they fly whenever they can't fly their own flag, when they're facing communism, tyranny, oppression, and it's the American flag. That